And hey everybody, welcome to the Tournament Center. I'm Zac Hill here with Ivan Floch of the Czech and sort of Slovakian team.
Yeah, it's just me. Czech and me.
Hey man, you're representing. Now you're playing red-white heroic. Can you tell us a little bit about this deck?
Yeah, sure. It's pretty straightforward deck. You just play a bunch of hairy creatures, cheap hairy creatures, and then try to pump them enchantment or whatever you can do with them and make them big and then attack for the win.
Hey man, so I've drafted a lot of limited decks that look like that.
Yes, it's pretty much a very good limited draft deck. Yeah.
Cool, well, let's take a look at some of the cards that are actually in the deck. Now the first thing you have to do is, of course, cast some creatures. We see back here, got Favored Hoplite, Satyr Hoplite, a lot of Hoplites, Akroan Crusader, Phalanx Leader, and a singleton Hero of Iroas. How did you come up with this suite of creatures, and why is this exactly what you want to be doing?
Well, you want to play each cheap creature, so 1-mana creatures are the most important ones. You want to play them on turn 1 and then do things with them later. So you play all four offs of those 1-mana creatures. Then you play the Phalanx Leader. He obviously is great in deck when you make when you play bunch of creatures and just make them big. Hero of Iroas is great too, but he isn't that necessary because he doesn't pump all of your guys like Phalanx, and he costs 2 mana. So we play only one of those to come with perfect mix for our creatures.
Yeah, is that more that like you needed another creature, or was just one the most you could support?
Well, it was the last card of the deck. We didn't want to play 3 Mogis Warhounds, which will come up later. Only 3. So he was the last card of the deck too. And
a last question, you've got these 8 1-drop red creatures, and then the double white of Phalanx Leader. How hard is that on the mana of the deck?
It's pretty hard on the mana.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, it's pretty hard, but you have 8 dual lands, like 4 Scry lands and 4 Mana Confluences, so that makes things easier, and you have one card-driving card in the deck that helps to fix your mana. And well, sometimes you have mana problems with the deck, but that's pretty much with every deck in the ball constructed.
Sure.
So when your mana comes fine, then the deck can do very powerful things.
Well, let's actually look at some of the powerful things you can do with this deck. Now, you don't just throw creatures out there, obviously. I want to talk about these first couple of cards. Launch the Fleet is something that people were kind of talking about when the set came out. Didn't really know exactly what to do with it. How does this card work, and what is it doing in this deck?
Okay, that card is absolutely perfect in this deck.
Really?
Yeah, you have a lot of cheap creatures, so you can play creature on turn 2, then maybe 2 creatures on turn 3, turn 2, or maybe more. And Launch the Fleet targets all of your creatures, so it triggers all your heroics. And then makes more creatures which you can pump with Phalanx Leader or something else. It's absolutely perfect card for the deck.
And now, of course, Launch the Fleet makes creatures and targets. Now we've got a bunch of cards that just kind of target. We've got Coordinated Assault, God's Willing, Dragon Mantle. Again, 4 of each of these. Are these just the best options you have available?
Yeah, we think so. Yeah, Coordinated Assault targets 2 creatures, so great, perfect. God's Willing targets 1 creature, but it protects against removal when you have Ordeal, which will come up later, or when you just make 1 creature big. So it helps. And Dragon Mantle is perfect. It's cantrip and also triggers heroic. So yeah, cheap triggers of heroic. Great cards.
Now, is the fact that half your mana is white, is that a strike against Dragon Mantle, or just is the fact that it draws a card and does stuff good enough?
Well, the Dragon Mantle, the fire-breathing ability is not that important for the deck. You don't need that. You just need 1 mana enchantment that draws a card and triggers all your heroic abilities.
Cool.
And the pump effect is just a bonus.
Cool, so these are some of the cheap ways to pump your creatures. Now you do have some more expensive ways. I want to look at those really quick. For Ordeal of Purphoros. Now I, sitting back at home, was not thinking Ordeal of Purphoros was a constructed all-star. What is this card doing in the deck, and why is it worth including?
Okay, when you say not so cheap, they're still cheap. They just don't cost 1 mana.
Sure. I guess it's all relative.
Yeah. Well, Ordeal of Purphoros, it's 2 mana enchantment, which again triggers your heroics. Shoot for 3, which is like damage spell. You play Lightning Strike, Lightning Bolt in other formats, and they're good cards. And it gives counters to your creatures. So That's perfect. It's not that good against removal, but many removals in this format are like 3 mana, 4 mana, and opponents play tap lands, trigger lands, so scry lands. So often they don't have time or enough mana to just kill the creature in time, before it triggers and shoots for 3 something. So.
And Mogis Warhound, Stanislav was talking to me about how powerful this card was earlier. Now, on the surface, 2/2 must attack doesn't seem that great, but I keep hearing this card is awesome. Why is this card so good?
The card is very good because it helps to build one of your creatures to big enough to go through almost any blocker, even against 5/5 or so big bodies. Sometimes you can go through them easily. And if they kill your creature, you still have a guy. So yeah, sure. That's cool. It's always a bonus. It's not a creature. It's a pump effect. It's an enchantment.
So you're basically never just running this out for 2 mana on the second turn?
I did it, but when you do that, you're probably not winning. So you need other creatures.
Doesn't feel good. Okay, yeah. So that's the spells in the deck. Let's get through the main deck with the lands. Now, obviously you're playing 4 Temple, 4 Mana Confluence. Those are your dual lands. 6 Plains, 6 Mountains, straight down the middle. Is the mana kind of frustrating for this deck, or does it end up working out?
Yeah, it can be frustrating sometimes. But the deck is like 6/6 is perfect mix because deck is neither heavy red or heavy white. So yeah, that helps. Well, it's better like when you have 10 or 10/2 or 8/4 because this way you can more often have both red and white mana to cast your spells. So that's fine. The deck is actually 50% red and 50% white. That helps a little bit.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's look at the sideboard now. We've seen the deck spells. We've seen how it's casted spells. We've got 15 cards in the board. Now, sometimes it's hard to sideboard with a deck with only 20 lands. You don't have that many options, but it looks like against aggressive decks, you've got quite a package here. Are these both for the aggro matchups, or is that not what this is?
Yeah, these are both for aggro matchups and matchups when you both just ignore what your opponent is playing, like blue-white heroic, which is aggro matchup as well, not just red decks. So yeah, it's for those matchups and it's really effective. And you are right, there are not many options for this type of deck for sideboard, so that's why we played eight of these, because they are good in matchups when they are supposed to be. So.
Sure, and why does Lagonna-Band Trailblazer not make the main deck?
Well, because it attacks for 0. Yeah, the other hero guys are better for main deck because they attack for more damage.
Sure. So the fact, I guess looking at the deck, I'm always like, okay, your heroic creatures are huge anyway, but the fact that it's an 0/4 really does matter in this deck. Just the fact that it can't attack for like a lot of damage early.
Well, yeah, I think so.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you're mostly bringing it as an 0/4 to block, and then it eventually can get better.
Yeah, it shines in matchups that can also block, and then attack when you pump it with Ordeal or Launcher Fleet or any other creature enhancement spell in the deck. And one thing about this guy is we don't sideboard it only against the aggro matchups.
Okay.
But also against a matchup, it's only one matchup actually, but it's Esper deck, in matchups where they just kill all your creatures and doesn't play blockers. Because this guy is really bad into attacking against blockers because it doesn't have enough power.
Right.
But it's great in avoiding removals, and Esper deck is pretty much all removal deck. And it can avoid a lot of removal like Firecast Cure, Bile-Blight, and Drawing Sorrow.
Okay.
So it's actually good in that matchup, even if it has 0 power. But very bad against each other control deck because they have some creatures to block.
They just block it with an 0/3 or with a 2/4.
Yes. You have to pump it really a lot to go through those blockers.
Well, that's why we do these, because I would have never guessed in a million years that that's for Esper. Okay, let's look at the rest of this sideboard really quick. We actually see a little bit of a removal package, Fall of the Hammer and Chain to the Rocks. Yeah. Now, each of these kind of kill very different things. When do these come in?
Well, Fall of the Hammer comes in matchups against aggro matchups, because pretty much any matchup when your opponent is playing creatures, even when those creatures are 2/4 cursors, it can kill cursor pretty easily in this deck.
Cool, and Chain to the Rocks, is that against the decks full of like 5/5s and 4/4s?
Yes, that's exactly against those decks. The fact that you have only 6 mountains makes it a little bit awkward. you have the mountain only in like 60 or 66% games. So sometimes you are just stuck with this card in your hand.
I'd love to enchant a mountain.
Yeah, but in those matchups, the 1 mana effect that does remove the 5/5 or big creature is so important that it's worth playing it.
All right, now let's check out really quick the rest of the sideboard here. Got just a couple more cards, I think. For you, until I've told, we now see some threats. We've got 2 Brimaz, King of Oreskos, a card you're not main decking, but clearly one of the most powerful creatures in the format.
That's right.
As well as the 4th Mogis' Warhound. So I guess A, what does Brimaz do? And B, why are you not main decking for the Warhound?
Okay, we are not main decking for Mogis Warhounds because you don't want to draw 2 of them almost every game because, well, it helps you to get through those block creatures, but it's not that mana effective. So you can do more powerful things for your mana than just playing Mogis Warhound. So it's more like utility end of curve creature, and you don't want to draw 2 of them.
Makes sense. And now Brimaz, finally, a card you're not main decking, but I can kind of win a game by itself. What does it do here?
Well, it's in sideboard because it's good against removal again. It's Drown, Sorrow, Blight, Firecast Cure, and backup with God's Willing, it can win game itself. Unlike the rest of the deck, because the rest of the deck is like puzzle. You have to build your creatures with more cards. This can win game itself in some of those matchups when they don't just have those big blockers. So it's effective again in Esper and against aggro decks. It can raise and block at the same time.
Hey, that makes a lot of sense. Even, thank you so much. Here with Red, White, Heroic. That's Even Floch. I'm Zac Hill here at the Tournament Center at Pro Tour Journey into Nyx.